Developing right now on Morning News Now, here we snow again. This morning, millions of Americans bracing for another round of winter weather with more snow, wind, and icy temperatures expected across several states. We're tracking the conditions from coast to coast, plus what to expect for your weekend. Also this morning, a big primary push in New Hampshire, where voters are just days from heading to the polls. But there'll be a notable absence on the ballot, why President Biden's supporters will need to write his name in on Tuesday. Plus, an unimaginable failure by police. Those words from the Justice Department in a scathing new report on the school shooting in Uvalde nearly 2 years ago.
I hope that the failures end today and the local officials do what wasn't done that day. Do right by the victims and survivors of Robb Elementary.
We'll take you to Texas, where families of the victims are calling for change. And we've got your daily dose of health headlines, starting with new evidence linking multivitamins and your memory. Plus, should you take the plunge? The cold plunge, now a hot health trend. But what does it really do? What doctors want you to know before you dive in? Not from doctors, but from friends who do it. They just say it's like they don't need coffee anymore. So much energy.
Do they do it every morning?
They do.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. I will not join them.
Not there yet.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with the deep freeze setting in. This morning, tens of millions of Americans are again waking up under those winter weather alerts. This is as the deluge of snow and ice that froze over the Pacific Northwest now trudges cross country.
Yeah, who needs a cold plunge? You got one here. In Michigan, the frigid weather has caused some shipping lanes on lakes to completely ice over. You can see where a huge barge was used to clear the ice. This morning, the Northeast is bracing for another round of snow and dangerously cold temperatures. Officials in Washington, D.C. extended the weather emergency through the weekend. And in Rochester, New York, a jet that was scheduled to take off for Philadelphia lost traction before takeoff and slid off the runway. No one on board was hurt. In just a few moments, we'll get a full check on the forecast with Angie Lastman, who's tracking another Arctic blast. But we begin with NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda, who's just outside Buffalo, New York.
While so many people are still digging out from the last winter blast this morning, millions are bracing for even more snow. Hard to imagine more winter weather when you look around places like western New York here, and you are seeing all of this snow, some neighborhoods buried beneath more than 60 inches of it since Saturday. That is more than 5 feet of snow. And when you look around, you're going to see these massive towering snow piles because crews, they're running out of places to put the snow across the country. We've seen the deadly toll that this barrage of brutal storms has taken coast to coast. Nearly 50 people have died so far, 16 people in Tennessee alone. There is a state of emergency there now. And in Rochester yesterday, scary moments at an airport when an American Airlines airplane, skidded off the taxiway while trying to turn. American Airlines says that was due to snowy conditions on the airfield. Crews had rushed to the scene and fortunately safely evacuated all 53 people on board. Looking at the travel impacts today, as we see the storms hit much of the Northeast, it looks like we're going to see the number of flight disruptions rise. Already this morning, roughly 600 flights have been canceled. Airports impacted on both coasts. That number is already around the same number we saw yesterday, but for all of yesterday. So it's going to be a messy commute as we continue to see the wrath of Mother Nature. Back to you.
All right, Emily, thank you so much.
For more details on what to expect this weekend, let's get a look at your Morning News Now weather forecast.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman has the chilly outlook. Angie, good morning.
The layers, guys, the snow shovels, they're all going to be needed. Good morning to you. We've got a couple of different things happening. We've got that cold air that's really going to continue to get your attention through the weekend. And we've got this winter storm that's working into portions of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic. And even this morning's commute in places like Cincinnati, Columbus, you're dealing with snow. We start to see that snow working into New York here in the next couple of hours. And we've also got this wintry mix that's moving offshore. Now, the good news is this system does just that over the next couple of hours. It moves offshore and takes most of the impacts with it, but not before giving us a little bit of snow to disrupt that morning travel in some spots and afternoon travel for that commute on a Friday. We know how busy it already is. We'll likely see that be impacted as well. The lake effect snow, though, it continues well into the weekend. So tomorrow will be be dealing with more of these heavy lake effect snow bands as we deal with the strong and really chilly winds behind this system as it moves offshore. So when it's all said and done, I think places like New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. will be in the range of 1 to 4 inches. You look up towards the lakes, Ontario and Erie, and downwind of those, that's where we could see maybe another foot or so. Hence the reason that the Buffalo Bills are calling for more folks to help shovel out before that game. We'll likely see this continue again into Saturday, so they'll be dealing with that for the next couple of days. And there's the cold. 59 million people stretching from the northern plains all the way down to the southeast are waking up to these dangerously cold temperatures. In some spots, we're sitting at 0 degrees for our afternoon highs, like Minneapolis, feeling more like 10 below. Again, we have those strong cold winds that are going to leave us more than 20 below for what it feels like in Omaha. Places like Chicago will hit 11 degrees for the high today. Little Rock even just sitting at 32 degrees for this afternoon's temperature. Looking into the weekend, though, not much improvement, and we actually see that kind of reinforcing shot of cold air make a big impact, especially the farther east you go. Washington, D.C. goes from 22 for that minimum wind chill on Friday to 4 and 5 for Saturday and Sunday. So the extra layers, they're definitely going to be needed here, even through your weekend plans. Now, if you're looking for some sunshine, I'd say head south. We've got really clear skies across most of the middle of the country, the southeast as we look to Saturday. It's just that lake effect snow that we deal with across the northeast and the Great Lakes for Saturday. But another storm system bringing heavy rain and snow out west. That's going to leave us with some difficult travel there, and it remains unsettled into our Sunday. The chill will stick with us through the weekend. We'll see plenty of sunshine, though. Again, that at least gives us a little bit of something to look forward to, but the cold and blustery conditions will continue. If you're looking for a pattern change, guys, when it comes to temperatures, lucky you, you're going to get it. We're actually going to see temperatures go back to about average to above normal here as we get into the early parts of next week, but not until we get through a really bitter cold Saturday, Sunday, and today, of course, the layers also needed. So
an indoor weekend, unless you want to go help shovel in Buffalo.
Bills Mafia. No. Listen, there was no shortage of people helping out last weekend, so I have no doubt they'll be doing it again.
They'll be there. All right. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The New Hampshire primary is just 4 days away, and Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley continues barnstorming the state, hoping to drum up more support.
The former U.S. ambassador is looking to bridge the gap as polls show frontrunner Donald Trump holding on to a sizable lead in the Granite State. Both contenders are focusing on immigration and the crisis at the southern border as a way to motivate supporters. NBC's Garrett Hake has the latest from the campaign trail.
Facing a make-or-break New Hampshire primary, Nikki Haley ramping up her attacks on the frontrunner.
Now, I know that Donald Trump went on a temper tantrum about me last night.
Defending her record on the hot-button issue of immigration.
I said, I don't just want a border wall. We've got to do a whole lot more than that. We will defund sanctuary cities once and for all. No more safe havens for illegal immigrants.
The former South Carolina governor under relentless assault by the Trump campaign on the stump.
Nikki Haley will never secure the border. She doesn't believe in these secure borders.
And over the airwaves.
Nikki Haley, too weak, too liberal to fix the border.
For the frontrunner, former President Trump, border security remains the signature issue.
On day one of my new administration, I will seal the border. We had the safest border in history. We're going to make it the safest border in history again.
Under President Biden's current border policies, roughly 85% of migrants who cross the border are released into the U.S. pending court dates. Mr. Trump is vowing to force asylum seekers to remain in Mexico and wants to complete a southern border wall. President Biden has called Trump proposals extreme. The former president urging House Republicans negotiating with the White House not to accept any compromise deal short of perfect, as Congress debates linking aid to Israel and Ukraine to border security. President Biden pushing back.
I think the vast majority of members of Congress support aid to Ukraine. The question is whether or not a small minority are going to hold it up, which could be a disaster.
And tweaking Mr. Trump over the low turnout in Iowa in his landslide victory.
Well, I don't think Iowa means anything. Lowest number of votes anybody's won got.
Our thanks to Garrett Hake for that report. As for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he's campaigning in New Hampshire today before heading to South Carolina, where polls show former President Trump with a lead.
Well, on the Democratic side, President Biden is facing a primary challenge from Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips.
The three-term congressman is touring New Hampshire. He has 2 stops planned for today as he looks to drum up support ahead of Tuesday's contest. During a campaign event yesterday, Phillips received the endorsement of former presidential and New York City mayoral candidate Andrew Yang.
NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli joins us now from Salem, New Hampshire, with more on the state of the race. Mike, great to see you. So we know President Biden, of course, seeking the second term in the White House, but his name's not going to be on the ballot next week. Remind us why voters will have to write in his name as their choice, and tell us about any plans of his to campaign there.
Well, Savannah, of course, New Hampshire is still holding the nation's first presidential primary, but Democrats will not be awarding any delegates. So how did we get here? You can look back to what was happening 4 years ago when I was covering then candidate Joe Biden here in New Hampshire, who announced he was going to leave the state even before the polls closed to plant his flag in must-win South Carolina. The argument ultimately from Biden advisors when they orchestrated a change to the Democratic primary calendar was that more diverse states needed to be at the front of the line to represent the Democratic electorate. So when New Hampshire stuck with its primary going ahead of South Carolina, the DNC said there would not be any delegates, and so therefore President Biden didn't put his name on the ballot. There is a write-in effort here that's encouraging Democrats who want to show their support for the president to still come out and write in his name. It's anyone's guess about how successful that will be and what really success looks like. Do you need to get 50%? Do you need to just win against the other Democrats who are on the ballot? The Biden campaign made clear what it thinks about New Hampshire because yesterday they announced he's going to be spending Tuesday, the day of the primary, holding a campaign event in Northern Virginia talking about abortion.
So, Mike, let's talk about Congressman Dean Phillips' long-shot campaign to challenge President Biden for the Democratic nomination. He spent days traveling around New Hampshire. He's spending millions. But there might be people watching this right now who are hearing his name for the first time.
Totally.
I mean, what has been his message to voters?
Well, Joe, if you look at the campaign ads that Dean Phillips is running on the airwaves, you'll see in terms of the issues, he's running fairly as a generic Democrat. He's pushing the same kind of policies, really, that President Biden has been pursuing in the White House as well. But Dean Phillips' argument has also been a lot more about really two issues. One is what we just talked about, the fact that Democrats took away the first in the nation primary here in New Hampshire. But also, of course, every poll we've seen shows a lot of concern about the president, whether he can beat Donald Trump and whether he's up for the job for 4 more years because of his age. Let's listen to part of what Dean Phillips' message was as he was campaigning here yesterday.
Men in their 80s, frankly, even good men, good women, are not in a position to anticipate and prepare us for the future. We had 100 years to prepare for climate change. We knew 100 years ago what would happen by burning fossil fuels. And what did we do? Nothing. So what of a better outcome could we give this country on January 23rd than to demonstrate to the Democratic National Committee, and frankly both parties, that who's still got the power? You do.
Now, you talk about Andrew Yang. Of course, he endorsed Dean Phillips yesterday. He sent a message to some other big-name Democrats, names like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, California Governor Gavin Newsom, saying that they know that President Biden is vulnerable in this election, that maybe they should have run as well. An interesting message when you're endorsing somebody else who's also going to be on the ballot.
Definitely. Mike, let's talk quickly about New Hampshire polling. So Nikki Haley is the only candidate within striking distance of Donald Trump. They're kind of a closest gap we've really seen so far. There are just a few days left, and then it's on to her home state of South Carolina. Now, in South Carolina, Trump has a sizable lead. It's also where we saw Ron DeSantis jet off to right after the Iowa caucus. How close would she have to come on Tuesday, the day of the New Hampshire primary, to make this a real race, to kind of, put a little fear into the Trump campaign?
Well, Savannah, I think if you talk to advisors, supporters of Nikki Haley, they'll say that, listen, all she needs to do is come in a strong second place, maybe even within a couple points of Donald Trump. That will, in their view, narrow this even further to a 2-person race, and then it's on to the next few states. But we also have to talk about the reality here, which is that this is a race for delegates, that the electorate here in New Hampshire, yes, is more moderate. Undeclared voters, independent voters can vote in the Republican primary, but there are more contests going forward that look like Iowa's more conservative electorate than New Hampshire's more moderate electorate. And so she probably does need to eke out a win here to demonstrate viability going forward. Now, this is the 5th New Hampshire primary that I'll have covered this time around. We've seen New Hampshire with some big surprises in the past. Everyone needs to look back to 2008. Hillary Clinton was expected to lose here, had a surprising victory. That's also part of the Nikki Haley game plan here, is for a little New Hampshire magic to show up.
There you go. All right. Mike Memoli, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And a programming note here, NBC News Well, NBC News Now, right here, we will have full coverage of the New Hampshire primary. Our colleagues, as you can see on your screen, Hallie Jackson, Tom Yamas, and Kristen Welker will break down the race as the votes come in. Our live coverage kicks off Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific time.
On Capitol Hill, a headline you've heard a few times in recent months. A partial government shutdown has been averted, at least for now. The House passed the short-term measure yesterday by a vote of 314 to 108, just hours after the Senate approved the measure, sending it to President Biden's desk ahead of tonight's midnight deadline.
Well, the legislation keeps the government open until March, buying Congress more time to craft the dozen appropriations bills needed to fund the government for that full year.
NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with the details. Julie, good morning. So break down what's in this short-term spending bill and what isn't.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Well, basically, they're kicking the can down the road once again. So unfortunately for our viewers, they will keep hearing about this headline over and over again, at least for the foreseeable future. So it's a short-term government funding extension of current spending levels. So remember those two-tiered structured government spending deadlines that we had back in November under House Speaker Mike Johnson. Now we have the same thing, as you can see on your screen, but those deadlines are going to move to March 1st and March 8th. Still kind of that split level funding of government. And that's because conservatives in the House especially don't want to see those massive full-year spending packages that we've gotten used to seeing over the last couple of years. They really want to make sure they can pass these bills individually. They want to cut spending. They're putting a lot of pressure on Mike Johnson, who has vowed not to pass another short-term extension again. We see that he had to do that this time. But yesterday, the vote was very telling in the House. Just one more Republican to take them over majority voted with all Democrats to extend this government spending deadline. That means 106 Republicans voted against.
That's exactly right. There's dealing with this divided party, right? Republicans have the majority in the House, but then Johnson is still relying on Democratic votes to actually help get this measure passed. The Freedom Caucus members specifically are really digging in on cutting spending. Is there any room for common ground here? Like, where do you see this going, Julie?
Well, that's a really great question. I think where we all see this going is the fact that Johnson is going to have to keep relying on Democrats to pass anything, not just the spending bills, but all these other items that he has outstanding in the next couple of months. And certainly that is going to threaten his speakership. We saw what happened to the ousted House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Marjorie Taylor Greene already floating the motion to vacate that rule change that happened last January when any one member can trigger this vote on the House floor to oust the House Speaker. Certainly Johnson is thinking about that, but he also now has the gavel. He's not an ordinary rank and file member. He needs to govern. He needs to work across the aisle to keep government open, to get all of these matters done. But certainly those hardline conservatives are going to continue to be a thorn in his side. And it's not clear if they're going to come around to help Johnson in the end or if they're going to vote to remove him.
And Julie, let's talk about the supplemental bill that would provide aid to Ukraine and Israel, something folks on both sides of the aisle would like to see. But where do things stand there?
We still don't have a deal just yet among those Senate negotiators, but they're getting really close. They have most of the bill text written, I'm told. There are still outstanding issues that they have to figure out. There's no deal without that. But the problem is, even if it gets put on the Senate floor, Senate leaders from both parties really want this deal to happen. You have this dynamic in the House where you have those conservatives, again, who don't want to send any money to Ukraine overseas. They also don't think the border deal, which we don't know what's in it yet exactly, is not going to be conservative enough for them. A lot of them aren't even border state members. So then you have Republicans in the Senate who are actually calling them out on this. They're not afraid to say that if they don't support this measure, that would be political. And then, oh, wait, you have the former president who's railing against this deal on the campaign trail, talking to Speaker Johnson, trying to pressure him from not putting this on, to not put this on the floor. But Senate Republicans, including Senator John Thune, Mitch McConnell, others that I've spoken to, again, point out that that would be purely a political move. And again, they have to pass the border deal to unlock aid overseas to Ukraine and Israel. And certainly that is a priority for both parties. We'll see if they can get there.
All right, Julie Sirkin, lots to cover. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Julie. Well, this morning, a new Justice Department report is providing troubling new details into how authorities failed to respond to the Uvalde school shooting. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky tells us what the investigation uncovered.
A year and a half after a teenage gunman's rampage left 21 dead in a Uvalde school, the U.S. Attorney General not mincing words.
The law enforcement response to the mass shooting at Robb Elementary was a failure.
The Department of Justice releasing its massive federal investigation into the Texas town's darkest day, which found cascading failures of leadership, decision-making, tactics, policy, and training. The scathing report, topping 600 pages, it determines the most significant failure was officers treating the gunman as a barricaded threat and not an active shooter.
Had the law enforcement agencies followed generally accepted practices in an active shooter situation and gone right after the shooter to stop him, lives would have been saved.
During the 77 minutes from when officers arrived to when the gunman was killed, the report found no one assumed a leadership role, which led to officers remaining outside the classrooms, despite the gunman firing 45 rounds and a student inside calling 911.
A lack of action by adults failed to protect children and their teachers.
The report also finding some students wounded by gunfire were not immediately given first aid.
Children with bullet wounds were put on school buses without any medical attention.
One of the most painful mistakes uncovered, untrained officials telling families loved ones had survived, when in fact, they were already dead.
I hope that the failures end today.
Mother Kimberly Rubio credits the report for shining a light on the response, but says she still has unanswered questions. Is there anything that isn't in this report that you wish was there?
More emphasis on why law enforcement didn't do something sooner. It wasn't about being scared of an 18-year-old. They were scared of a weapon the 18-year-old possessed.
Her beloved daughter, Lexi, one of the many victims now honored in local murals. You relive that day how often?
Every day.
For Berlinda Ariola, precious minutes wasted, leaving her wondering if her own granddaughter, Amory Jo, could have survived.
This is why I am so angry with those officers that were right outside the door. While we were sitting out there wondering what was going on inside there, while they were sitting there lying to us, they had the opportunity to go in and they didn't.
77 minutes.
77 minutes.
And we do know that following the release of this report, calls for accountability have only been growing from the families of the shooting victims. They're asking for either officers who didn't act fast enough be terminated from their positions or even face criminal charges. The county prosecutor here is heading up a criminal investigation, but as of last check, has not filed any charges. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Morgan Chesky, heartbreaking conversations there. Thank you so much.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, the cold truth about a hot health trend. We're going to break down the benefits of the cold plunge and why, no surprise, it may not be for everyone.
Up first, after the break, the new developments in the Middle East, where the U.S. just carried out another round of strikes against Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Stick with us.
Welcome back. Last night, the U.S. military carried out a fifth round of strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels, targeting what it says were two anti-ship missiles aimed at the Red Sea. The growing regional violence comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a speech yesterday he rejects any move to establish a Palestinian state after the war in Gaza. He said all territory west of the Jordan River would be under Israeli security control. That's at odds with the Biden administration, which supports a two-state solution and says Gaza must not be reoccupied. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has the latest.
For the fifth time in just a week, the U.S. again striking Houthi targets inside Yemen, this time with F-18s. U.S. CENTCOM says the strikes were on two anti-ship missiles aimed into the southern Red Sea. After determining an imminent threat to commercial and U.S. Navy ships, the Pentagon says, the Houthi missiles were destroyed. But the Houthis are still terrorizing ships in the Red Sea, despite the U.S. retaliation. Pressed by NBC's Gabe Gutierrez, President Biden acknowledged U.S. actions were not deterring the Iranian-backed militia.
Are the airstrikes in Yemen working? Well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes.
Saudi Arabia's foreign minister met face-to-face with his Iranian counterpart this week.
So our message to everyone, including our neighbors in Iran, is that we need to work together towards de-escalation.
And in an interview with NBC News, another stunning shift, openly discussing a possible deal to normalize relations with Israel and a U.S. strategic partnership. But there can be no deal, he says, without a ceasefire and a two-state solution.
But what we feel is key at this time is to find a credible, irreversible path to a Palestinian state.
With Hamas vowing more terror attacks, Israel's president saying no one is thinking about the peace process.
Every Israeli wants to know that he will not be attacked in the same way from north or south or east.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu outright dismissing a Palestinian state.
So doesn't that make a deal with Saudi Arabia impossible?
Again, I cannot speak to what decisions the Israeli government will make.
The foreign minister told me in any Saudi-Israeli deal, Palestinian statehood would have to be ironclad, guaranteed by the US. There's little sign that Israel will be prepared to agree to that.
All right, Keir, thank you.
For more on all this, let's bring in Daniel Levy. He's the president of the U.S. Middle East Project and a former Israeli peace negotiator. Daniel, good to have you with us. So what do you make of those comments? Let's pick it up right there by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, rejecting a Palestinian state outright. Can there ever be one if he and his far-right government remain in power, do you think?
I think the response to that statement by Netanyahu worries me because it perhaps suggests that people aren't paying attention. This is in the written guidelines of the Israeli government, that there will only be Jewish rights from the river to the sea. This is the historical position of Netanyahu. He has picked apart the possibility, but no Israeli government, this is important to recognize, no Israeli government or parliament has ever voted to accept Palestinian statehood. Now, the question then is, for the US administration, do you say, we wish you'd take a different position, you can't get peace with Saudi without it, or do you begin to use the real leverage at your disposal, not only to talk about the horizon ahead of a political dispensation, but also to get to grips with the here and now, the tragedy of what's going on, the US getting sucked more into this, over 10,000 children killed in Gaza. And I would humbly suggest that if this is the position of the Israeli Prime Minister, a more correct US response, in addition to using practical leverage, but rhetorically would be to say, okay, so we always thought two states was a good idea. We've heard what the human rights organizations have said, which is that this is an apartheid regime. Are you confirming that they're correct? If you don't accept a Palestinian state, will you give all these Palestinians that you control equal rights? And let's throw the ball back into the court of Israel in a more meaningful way.
Let's talk more about that. You recently wrote an essay for the New York Times titled "Team Biden Needs a Reset on Israel." In it, you say, quote, Team Biden should make a course correction, starting with exercising the very real diplomatic and military leverage at its disposal to move Israel in the direction of U.S. interests rather than vice versa. How do you see that happening?
Yes, there may be an element of my British understatement in that. I think there are so many good reasons for this course correction, whether that's to end the tragedy of what's occurring on the ground, prevent the kind of regional conflagration which you just reported on in Yemen. I think it's in Israel's interest because Israel is not going to have security while it keeps the Palestinians without their rights. I would argue that it's probably in Biden's political interest. It's certainly in the broader US security reputational interest. If that is the case, how do you go about it? And I think there are many levers that are not deployed, that are at the disposal of the Biden administration, of the US. It is providing these 2,000-pound bombs, which are causing this horrendous destruction, leading to starvation, disease, as well as death. So let's look at the arms provisions. There was actually a vote on that in the Congress and the Senate this week. Let's look at the conditionality. Let's look at how those weapons are being used. Let's look at the diplomatic, political cover that the US provides in the UN, in the Security Council, in the very important case that South Africa has taken to the International Court of Justice on the question of genocide. There is so much that an administration that really wanted to see change and perhaps was willing to show a little more political courage that could be done. And it would so be not only for the betterment of the US, but I passionately believe that this would be good for the Palestinians, for the region, and also for Israelis, because Israelis will ultimately be in a much better position when they are not in that oppressor state.
Daniel Levy from the U.S. Middle East Project. We so appreciate your perspective. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
More international news. 2 suspects now in custody in connection with the assassination of an Ecuadorian prosecutor who is probing that attack on a TV station in his country.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Labanga has that and other news for us. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. The general commander of the national police in Ecuador has given out or confirmed that news via social media. Now, the 2 suspects were arrested along with several weapons and 2 vehicles. Prosecutor Cesar Suarez was investigating that live television attack on a station in Guayaquil, one of Ecuador's most dangerous cities. Suarez was killed earlier this week while driving. Attorney General Diana Salazar said his car was shot at more than 20 times. Now let's travel over to Thailand, where the Thai appeals court is dishing out a hefty sentence for insulting the monarchy. Political activist Mongkol Tirakot was sentenced to a record 50 years for sharing social media posts criticizing the king. According to a legal rights group, this is the toughest penalty in history under the country's draconian lèse majesty law, which is known as one of the strictest in the world. And we end our tour of the world by shooting for the stars. The first all-European commercial crew is heading to the International Space Station. This is all part of a new wave of tourism where humans can actually purchase tickets from private companies to visit space, almost like buying a plane ticket. Now, talk about a vacation out of this world. One of those members aboard is a United States and Spain dual citizens. The others are from Sweden, Turkey, and of course, saving the best for last. My home right here in Italy. The crew is expected to land later this morning. No, Saturday morning. Sorry, I got the wrong day.
No worries. There's a lot going on.
Thanks, Claudio. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Coming up, a reminder from researchers to take your vitamins. The new evidence that points to benefits for your brain from those daily multivitamins.
Plus, diving in, more people warming up to trying the cold plunge. But why? We'll break down the benefits and the risks. This is Morning News Now. We're back now with a study that shows taking a daily multivitamin can have a positive impact on your memory. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk takes a closer look.
A healthy diet is good for the body and also good for the mind. And multivitamins could play an important role.
It's biologically plausible because we know that nutrition is so important for optimal brain health.
A new study directed by Mass General Brigham found that participants taking multivitamins daily prevented memory loss and slowed down the process of cognitive aging by the equivalent of 2 years compared to a placebo group.
We found the strongest benefit for memory in slowing of age-related memory loss.
1 in 9 adults say they have experienced confusion or memory loss, according to the CDC. By 2060, the number of people aged 65 and older with Alzheimer's is projected to reach nearly 14 million.
When we talk about Alzheimer's disease and other related dementia, that's not normal aging, and those diseases are fatal. It's really important that we think about strategies for prevention. We think about strategies such as engaging in healthy lifestyles to keep our brain as healthy as we can, as long as we can.
The researchers who conducted the multivitamin study are encouraged by the findings because it is a cheap and easily accessible option for most people. But they caution that the supplements are not a substitute for good nutrition. But people should still eat their spinach.
Absolutely. We are saying that multivitamins, dietary supplements will never be a substitute for a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, regular physical activity, and everything like that. That is really key.
The best time to take action, doctors say, is before cognitive decline begins. The authors of the study are not recommending that everyone go and run out and buy multivitamins. What they are saying is that they're waiting for guidelines, but that this is a good moment to remember that you can take proactive steps to slow cognitive decline. And a good place to start is with nutrition. Back to you.
All right, Stephanie, thank you.
Well, the frigid temperatures, of course, mean most of us are all bundled up. Well, one man in Chicago, good timing, is doing the opposite, embracing the cold by taking a plunge into Lake Michigan every day. Dan O'Connor takes a dip in the Great Lake as part of a tradition he began back in 2020. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has the details.
As the sun rises over frigid Chicago, Dan O'Connor chips ice from ladders along Lake Michigan so that he can seemingly defy all common sense and do this. Stunning from every angle, the painfully Arctic plunge into today's 35-degree water, especially jaw-dropping, knowing the 56-year-old beverage salesman dives daily and has since 2020.
There were the 3 Ps that were happening, and that was the pandemic, protests were going on, and politics. And I came down here hungover, and I jumped in. It was like a new awakening.
You did it hungover?
Yeah.
That reprieve from chaos became a year-round addiction.
I'll be real, NBC's paying me to stand here right now, and I'm in like a sleeping bag coat. You couldn't pay me enough to dive in there. Like, what is the drive for you?
Like I said, I mean, just that endorphin rush, it's attacking the day.
His drive, breaking the ice with fans on social media. The first anniversary of his first jump drew hundreds.
It's definitely been 100%, a mental health uptick for me.
So much so, the husband and father of 3, now dubbed the Great Lake Jumper, today, alongside a friend for safety, jumped twice.
It brightens the day every day, and that's why I keep doing it.
All right, thanks to Maggie Vespa, who's keeping it real, as she said.
Yeah.
Joining us now to discuss the benefits of a cold plunge, NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. So let's talk about, from a medical standpoint, what actually constitutes a cold plunge.
How cold is cold?
And what is the right way to actually do one?
Yeah, Joe and Savannah, much of the country feels like they're experiencing a cold plunge just walking out the door, and they're right, because a cold plunge is actually, technically by the studies, anywhere from 38 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty darn cold. But if you talk to many researchers, even 46 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit, still pretty cold, is cold enough to constitute a cold plunge or even a cold shower, which can be sometimes equivalent.
I feel like this is hurting me just to watch. Like, I'm seriously here like, no way, I couldn't do it. Doctor, what are some of the health benefits of this? Why are people doing this?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So let's talk about what we know. This is not something that people just started yesterday, although social media has made it a pretty viral sensation. People have been practicing this, and in countries such as Finland and Sweden and Switzerland, they've been studying this for decades. And what we found is that about 11 minutes a week, on average, for about a minute or 3 minutes a session, 3 or so sessions a week, you can get these benefits from cold plunges. Changing your body's fat composition to increase the brown fat. Brown fat is actually what keeps you warmer, and brown fat is thought to be actually better at metabolizing glucose and other things. It can help you lose weight. It can also help with insulin sensitivity. It can also increase norepinephrine and noradrenaline. Those are what give you that kind of rush or that high if you're experiencing stress, kind of fight or flight. We've talked about that before, and that can increase your heart rate. And it can also give you some of the benefits overall when you increase your heart rate to then actually get your body's metabolism, even after you get out of that cold plunge, to keep your metabolism increased. Now, there is such a thing as too much cold plunge. There are studies that show that if you've done this for too long and get too settled, your body actually kind of calms and relaxes and you lose some of those benefits. So just a minute or so a session can actually be enough, which is why people are doing that plunge and then jumping out.
I'm guessing this isn't for everyone, so what are some of the potential risks, and who just should not do this?
Listen, I've tried it, and I'm from Texas, and I just decided I like the warm. I'm not sure the cold is for me, but I tell all patients or anybody who's really interested in this, first and foremost, you really should just check, no matter what age you are, you really should just bring this up with your health professional just to make sure. But certainly people with cardiac or pulmonary conditions, or anybody that has experienced any sort of heart rate or any problems with their heart. I just told you about how it surges your heart rate. It surges those hormones that increase your heart rate. And those are people that should stay away from this activity. It can actually be fatal in some of those cases. And then certainly, if this is not for you, it might sound really attractive to try this as a way to get immediate weight loss. That won't happen. The most people that are benefiting from this are probably not the gentleman in the video. They're probably elite, or at least more conditioned people who are trying to optimize their elite athletic performance. maybe a good place to start is just a little toe or leg, Savannah, into that cold shower.
The toe
I would just say, try
let me tell
body
you,
part.
elite is not a word that's ever been used with me when it comes to performance.
Not me either.
She's perfecting the sauna plunge.
Yeah. Wait, really quickly, is this something, if you are interested, like, should you do it in the morning? Is it to like kickstart your day, or does it not matter?
I think that's a great idea. It doesn't necessarily matter, but I think a great trial for anybody who's listening, and we can all try it today, is that just, you don't even need your whole body. Really, all seriousness, take kind of your leg muscle in the shower, cold shower. Just put that in, try it. Give it a try. Let's all see how much more
I'll try it this weekend.
Don't do it before bedtime.
Will you all try it this weekend? And we talk about it next week?
Maybe.
Right.
All right. Dr. Patel, thank you so much.
All right, coming up, Apple sharing its vision of the future with its brand new mixed reality headset.
Up next, we'll get a sneak peek at the Apple Vision Pro and why tech giants think it's worth the $3,500 price tag. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now.
We're back with financial headlines. The Wall Street Journal reporting some major cutbacks over at Macy's.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. So Macy's plans to cut more than 2,300 jobs and close 5 stores. This as it tries to streamline operations. Now, the cuts make up about 3.5% of the retailer's workforce. Macy's operated 722 stores as of a year ago and had more than 94,000 full and part-time workers, not including seasonal hires. Now, Macy's hasn't said which jobs are being affected, but a company memo says it plans to add more automation to its supply chain and outsource some roles. Shares of Roomba maker iRobot are plunging, losing more than 1/3 of their value. The Wall Street Journal reports regulators in Europe plan to block Amazon's purchase of the company. Amazon announced the nearly $2 billion deal in 2022. The European Commission raised concerns in November, saying it could hurt competition as Amazon could prevent rivals from selling their products on its marketplace. The Federal Trade Commission has also been investigating the deal. Europe has until February 14th to make a final decision, but Amazon could still walk away from the deal. And Arby's is celebrating National Cheese Lovers Day with a Cheddar-thon. That's tomorrow. Customers can buy keychains that unlock limited cheddar sauce cups for just $2. They'll be able to use those keychains throughout the rest of the year. The keys to the cheese keychains will be only sold in stores at Arby's locations while supplies last, guys. Get the cheese.
Like shots of cheese cups. All right.
Between that and the dog riding,
all the dogs riding the Roomba.
There was a lot going on there. Wow, really exemplary of the story we were getting us in on there, Silvana.
It's cute to watch. All right, Silvana, thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Well, pre-orders for Apple's Vision Pro headset begin today. The Vision Pro is Apple's first device in the mixed reality category. But get this, it is priced at a whopping $3,500.
Wow. The tech giant says that this product is the, quote, ultimate entertainment experience that seamlessly blends digital content with your physical space.
For more on this, let's bring in Joanna Stern. She's an NBC News personal technology analyst and senior personal technology columnist for the Wall Street Journal. Joanna, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. So I understand you've tried this device 4 times now. Tell us if that's right. And tell us about your experience with it. I mean, anything kind of that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I have put this contraption on my head 3 times now. And I will say 2 things. Every time I'm very impressed by some things. And also, every time I realize I am putting a computer on my face. And I think we should start calling these face computers because that is what these are right now. What I'm really impressed by is just how easy it is to navigate the interface on this. If you've tried other VR headsets, you know, they usually come with these clunky controllers. Well, here there's no controllers. You just use your fingers and your hands to navigate in the air. And it's using complicated tech from inside the headset to figure out where your hands are. But much easier to navigate than one of those VR headsets. And a lot similar, very similar to me when Apple introduced the iPhone with a touchscreen that moved away from that stylus, right? Remember those back in the day from those smartphones? They were clunky. This device is still clunky, but this is moving us into a natural interaction with these types of virtual environments.
So we're seeing mixed reviews so far. You've touched on some of this, but what are the pros? What are the cons?
Yeah, so obviously pro, easy to navigate. Also pro that this is really an immersive experience. It is not something like looking at another screen, even though what this does is really place a screen all in front of your view. So this makes watching videos more immersive. It puts apps right in your line of view. And there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to do with this. We haven't yet really seen the examples of the apps, but you can see where this is going, where you're going to be able to put objects in your real world, right? This is not VR. This is showing you your real world and putting digital objects in it. The cons, this is heavy, and you guys touched on it before, $3,500. That's a lot of money. Most people don't even spend that on their computers. So this device, which doesn't yet really figure out its purpose, is not going to be the mainstream device right now that everyone goes out and buys.
Yeah, I mean, is it worth that, do you think? Just from, I mean, I know that you're in this space, and like me, I'm sure you've had all the different types of headsets on, all the different ones that almost hurt and everything else to even be in for a little bit of time. I mean, does this feel that different? Is it worth it? And who do you think is going to pay that?
Well, look, I haven't done a full device test of this. I hope to do that in the next few weeks before it actually goes on sale. So I really have to test this in my own environment to understand what would you actually put this thing on for every day? Would it be work? Would it be to watch videos? Would it be to do some sort of immersive thing that you don't yet know that you do with your computers or your phones? So still need to do some further testing on that. Yeah. But I think really for now, and I think Apple would agree, this is not a mainstream product right now. They obviously want to sell a lot of these, but this is not right now the next iPhone or iPad. Will it be that in 5-10 years? Perhaps.
All right. Joanna Stern, very interesting. Thanks for getting us up to speed.
The face computer.
Yeah, I like that. Coming up, a surprise meeting caught on camera.
Up next, we'll show you the moment that has now gone viral between a World War II vet and his first great-great-granddaughter. You're watching Morning News now.
We are going to end the hour with a meeting over a century in the making.
A World War II veteran was overcome with emotion when he was introduced to his great-great-granddaughter for the first time. The touching moment now going viral. NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas has the story.
For more than half a century, World War II veteran Dewey Muirhead's stories have captivated his big Oklahoma family.
It's amazing how he will sit down and tell you a story from 1942, and he can spout every single second of it off.
Dewey serving in the military police across the Rhineland, Central Europe, and Normandy.
Guys like him, they were just teenagers, and they fought for every freedom that we have.
Great-granddaughter Lexi Fowler knows all his stories by heart.
Fast forward 1942, he met my great-grandmother Inez. He met her at a pie supper. He bought her pineapple pie, and from there, it was just kind of history.
That pie leading to a decades-long marriage, 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren. Over the years, through every big family milestone, Dewey, right there in the middle of it all, even at 101 years old.
I actually did a first dance with him at my wedding as well. I could get emotional talking about how much he means to our family. He truly is the backbone of our family.
So as Lexi welcomed her baby, she wanted to make the next chapter of the family's history stand out.
I said, Dewey has not met her yet. We kind of wanted it to be like a special moment for him to be able to meet her.
So with cameras rolling and Dewey blindfolded,
you ready, Dewey? Yeah.
He was handed his first great-great-grandchild.
Sweetie, what in the world are you doing? You got the kiss, sweetie. Oh, is it? My goodness alive. Oh, goodness. Oh.
It was really amazing to look into his eyes and just see the joy that she brought him. And just, I know it meant a lot for him to be able to meet her.
For Lexi and new baby Millie, a chance to pass on Dewey's stories to family generations to come.
Oh, yeah.
When my great-grandfather went to war, he probably never knew. I mean, he never knew that if he was coming back to his wife, let alone come home and 101 be meeting his great-great-grandchild. And just being able to put my daughter in his arms, like that was really a surreal moment. Just like everything that he has fought for, it all just makes sense now. And he really it all just kind of came to light.
She is perfect. She is a pretty baby. Golly.
Oh, what a special man and a special story. Our thanks to Tom Yamas for that report.
Golly, all right. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Good news. It's Friday. Thanks for being here. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, not snowver yet. America's bitter brush with winter weather continues. Millions from coast to coast waking up to yet another round of treacherous snow as those positively frigid temperatures hang on into the weekend. But could a welcomed warm-up soon be on the way? We have got your full forecast in just a moment. A key congressional compromise in Washington that has now averted another government shutdown. For now, that deal now headed to President Biden's desk. But how long until the country faces another race to keep its lights on? We've got more on that as the clock ticks down to the nation's first 2024 primary in battleground New Hampshire. Also this morning, America's economy in focus. As inflation cools down, the prices of hundreds of medications are ticking up. So what's behind the price hike and how might it impact your next trip to the pharmacy? And later in the hour, it is National Popcorn Day. Some of the big theater chains are celebrating. So where can you snag some deals while taking in some of the biggest reels? We've got that and more in your can't miss list. Good to have you with us. You might be spending some time indoors this weekend with the chilly weather.
Yes.
Get some popcorn.
I know. I actually think I'm going to go to a movie.
There you go.
Nice
What are you going to see?
activity. Poor Things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know,
should see. I haven't seen it yet, but it's getting good reviews. All right. We're going to start with the brutal winter weather that is pummeling folks from coast to coast, and it isn't over yet.
Yeah, parts of the Northeast are bracing for even more snow today, while residents in other parts of the country are bundling up against freezing cold temperatures. Emily Aketa is tracking all of it from a snow-covered Hamburg, New York. That's just outside Buffalo. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Joe and Savannah, good morning to you. This is what you will see around every corner of this western New York neighborhood. These towering snow piles as crews are running out of places to put the snow. You can see the snowfall. It's coming down at a slower pace, so a little bit of relief, but there is more on the way, which means reaching for some residents their doorstep will only get even more difficult. As residents nationwide dig out from the latest blast of winter, this morning, millions are bracing for even more dangerous weather. Roadways from coast to coast treacherous. This car in New York slamming into a snowplow while trying to pass a truck. And frightening moments in Rochester when an American Airlines plane skidded off a taxiway because of snowy conditions.
Aircraft is off the A2 and he is over the whole shore.
Emergency crews rushing to get 53 people safely off the aircraft. Parts of western New York blanketed by more than 5 feet of lake-effect snow, burying local businesses and shuttering schools all week in Buffalo. There's so much snow here, you can't even tell that's a car behind you.
No, you can't really tell that's a car.
Nearly 50 people have died over the last week as a result of the perilous weather, including 3 family members after a power line fell onto their car in icy Portland, Oregon. The only survivor, a 9-month-old baby. A witness rescuing the child.
I just grabbed the baby, I pulled him up, and I walked him up the hill.
16 people have died in Tennessee alone, which is now under a state of emergency, as sub-zero wind chills and more snow sets in across the country. But some moments of hope and daring rescues, including one by a 4-legged friend.
Call her.
In Michigan, after first responders were unable to reach a man who fell through the ice on a lake, his dog Ruby bringing over a rescue disc. The man eventually pulled to safety. And looking at flight disruptions across the country already this morning, more than 700 flights have been canceled and counting. That is right around the number we saw in all of yesterday. They're already in place at some airports, ground stops and ground delays. And you may remember the Bills game last weekend was postponed. Officials are hoping this Sunday's playoff game will have a different fate. They are calling on locals to help shovel the snow. Guys, maybe that's my next stop.
There you go. Could see that happening for you. we'll send a camera if you do. Emily Aketa, thank you very much. Stay warm.
For more on the severe weather, let's get a check on your Morning News Now forecast.
Which means Angie Lastman's back in studio with us. Hey, Angie.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know what's not in the forecast? Me going and helping hanging out. Bill's Mafia has that under control, I'm sure. But good luck to Emily. Hey, we've also got really cold temperatures. You heard all about the snow that we're dealing with. And yes, that is something that is in the weekend forecast. But the cold conditions are spanning much of the country. 59 million people under these wind chill alerts at this hour, stretching from the northern plains down to the southeast, waking up to bitter cold temperatures in places like Minneapolis. We're going to see just a high of -1. That's an actual temperature later this afternoon, not the wind chill. The wind chill will be even worse. 13 below for what it feels like there. 10 in Chicago, feeling like 6 below. Even as far south as Amarillo, will be into the teens and feeling like the single digits. So prepare for it. Wherever you're going to be, wherever, at whatever point in the day today, you're going to want those extra layers across this region. As we get into the next couple of days, it gets a little worse, unfortunately. We'll see those minimum wind chills kind of bottom out as we get into Saturday and Sunday in a lot of these places like Chicago, into the teens, sub-zero temperatures, of course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But look where we go on Sunday, 15 below, 10 below in St. Louis on Friday and Saturday, just single digits expected for Memphis as we get through the weekend. And we look out towards the east. It's going to be a big difference from Friday, where it feels like 22 degrees in Washington, D.C., to the single digits by the time Saturday and Sunday rolls around. Here's the deal, though. We have, of course, those below average temperatures that have kind of settled in for the next couple of days. This is today. Notice how much below normal we are. But when we get into the early parts of next week, you see these nice warm colors? That's because we're actually going to be above average. Not necessarily warm temperatures. It is winter after all. But we will finally see those numbers getting above normal for this time of year as we get into your Monday, your Tuesday, your Wednesday. So some improvements are to come. We just got to get through the weekend. Meanwhile, we've got 77 million people under these winter alerts. And the snow is continuing to fall across this region. The Appalachians, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, all picking up some additional snowfall from now through basically the rest of your day today. If you live along the lakes, that's not going to stop. You're still going to see some additional snowfall for places downwind of the lakes. But the good news is for everybody else, this system gets out of here pretty quickly. I-95, though, is going to be difficult for travel, especially as we go into the later parts of today. So just be aware of that. I think we'll pick up a couple of inches of snow in those major cities along the I-95 corridor. Buffalo, and again, those cities that line the lakes, that's going to be a different story. We keep those really strong and chilly winds going even after the system exits into tomorrow. So that means some additional snowfall. How much? Well, we could see up to another foot or so in those areas. Notice where we looked, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., we're looking at more of an inch to 4 inches kind of range. So pretty good for making snow angels, maybe having to shovel the driveway. And it definitely will make it slick on the roads across that region. If you're looking elsewhere for your Saturday plans, it's going to be cold midsection of the country, but at least you'll get a little sunshine. It'll be bright. The skies will be dry. We keep the lake effect snow going into your Saturday, but look out west. Another system, heavy rain and snow on tap for folks out west. And it does stay unsettled, unfortunately, in that region as we get into Sunday. We keep the sunshine going across the middle of the country, and the chilly conditions will last as well. But then we'll finally start to see some of those improvements as we get into our next work week. If you're going to be out and about on Sunday across the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Great Lakes, you won't have any more of that snow to deal with, at least falling, but you will still be dealing with temperatures in the teens, in the 20s, and feeling much colder than this, guys. We'll see, hopefully, a bit of a lull in the pattern, especially when it comes to temperatures as we get into next week. So enjoy your white weekend in the meantime.
Otherwise, another cold football weekend, too, in some places.
Indeed. All right, thanks, Angie. Well, now let's get to the race for the White House. We're just 4 days away from the crucial New Hampshire primary.
The front-runner, former President Donald Trump, continues to maintain a lead in the polls in the Granite State, but rival Nikki Haley is looking to put a dent in his support. The former UN ambassador is holding a rally tonight in Manchester and will hold several other events throughout the weekend. New Hampshire is a potential make-or-break moment for the Haley campaign after her third-place finish in Iowa earlier this week. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who finished second in Iowa, is focusing on Haley's home state of South Carolina.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Congress has passed a bill that will prevent a partial government shutdown this weekend and keep the government open until at least early March. The spending bill now heads to President Biden's desk before it becomes law, but this is now the third stopgap bill passed since last September, as lawmakers continue to struggle to come to that deal on a full-year funding bill. And a programming note, NBC News now will have have full coverage of the New Hampshire primary. Our colleagues Hallie Jackson, Tom Yalmas, and Kristen Welker will break down the race as the votes come in. Our live coverage kicks off Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Make sure to join us.
Now to Georgia and a key development in former President Trump's election interference case there. The judge has set a date of February 15th to hear misconduct allegations against Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and her top prosecutor.
Yeah, so here are the details. It comes after Trump's co-defendant, Michael Roman, alleged Willis was involved in a romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. Well, earlier this month, a spokesperson for the DA's office said a response to Roman's allegations would come in a court filing. They declined to comment further.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos joins us now with more on this. So what more should we know about this filing? I mean, reality check, could it potentially impact this case in Georgia?
Let's take a step back. When this motion was first filed, it seemed a little ambitious to me. As a criminal defense attorney, you're asking the court to throw out the entire prosecution just because two prosecutors might be dating. But the other side of that coin, which is also true, is that if this motion successfully disrupts the Georgia prosecutors and gets those two prosecutors removed from the case, that is a massive win for the defense. Part of being a criminal defense attorney is hitting send on a motion that you know is going to make a lot of people angry, but you have to do it to zealously represent your client. So in a sense, I sympathize, but I also see that this may end up being a major factor in the case if they can disrupt the prosecution's lead prosecutor and the DA, get them off the case. Getting the case dismissed doesn't seem likely at all. It doesn't really have anything to do with the underlying prosecution, except that they allege, the defendants, that the special prosecutor may have been improperly appointed. The motion practice now is about whether or not to unseal the divorce case that is related, that involves that special prosecutor and his ex-wife. The Fulton County DA's attorneys are saying, hey, this is a kind of conspiracy with the defendants and the ex-wife or the former wife. And so this is an improper purpose for unsealing this, what is normally a sealed family court-style case.
I believe the last time we discussed this was when we got some juicy details from you about kind of just the frequency with which this type of relationship is happening in this arena. So kind of just put in context for us, like how big of a deal it would be if this were, you know, depending on what we hear from this. And also there was this deadline for a response of February 2nd. What do you think we're going to hear?
It would be a big deal if the special prosecutor was improperly appointed. It is also a somewhat big deal if the special prosecutor is being paid after being appointed by the Fulton County DA, and the Fulton County DA is getting benefits back in the form of, as alleged, vacations, trips, and things that people engaged in a romantic relationship do. And Savannah, you know I am never going to miss an opportunity to remind you that, yes, you ask any criminal defense attorney, any prosecutor, these kinds of shenanigans are going on in every courthouse throughout America and probably abroad as well. And the reason it's different than other office romances is that judges are in a different category than defense attorneys, than police officers, than DAs. You have all these different cultures with an invisible wall between them all. So maybe that makes it more exciting for them. Maybe that makes it more dangerous or scandalous. But this kind of thing is going on in every courthouse across America. Judges are dating cops. Cops are dating defense attorneys. Defense attorneys are dating prosecutors. It happens all the time.
Let's quickly talk about the federal election interference case involving Trump. The judge there rejected Trump's request to hold special counsel Jack Smith in contempt for filing motions ahead of deadlines. I don't fully understand that. What are the takeaways here?
So the argument, again, as a defense attorney, you got to make any argument you possibly can. And the argument here is essentially that by filing these motions early, you're trying to get the case moved along faster and faster and faster. It's not a particularly strong argument. But look, underlying all of this is this unspoken theme that the lawyers for both sides don't seem to want to say in their papers that they file with court. And if they were being candid, what they would say is the defense would say, hey, look, if we delay this case long enough in federal court, we win. Not for the merits, not because we deserve to win, but because if Donald Trump is the president, he'll appoint an attorney general to dismiss the case or he'll pardon himself. But they can't say that in open court. Similarly, the government can't really say, hey, we need to hurry this along.
Because there's an election.
Yeah, because we're going to lose categorically if there's an election coming up. We've got to get this done ideally tomorrow if we can. They just can't say that in open court because it doesn't go to the issues in the case. That is underlying all of this motion practice. If you look to that Follow the theme, and you will get your answer.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, the fallout continues this morning over the Justice Department's scathing review of law enforcement's botched response to the 2022 massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The DOJ called it a failure that should not have happened. 21 people, including 19 children, lost their lives. Morgan Chesky is in Uvalde for us this morning and has the latest here. Hi, Morgan. So the DOJ did not mince words in this report. Tell us what it says.
Yeah, Savannah, they absolutely did not. In fact, contained in this more than 600-page report was the conclusion that lives would have been saved inside Robb Elementary had law enforcement done what the proper training suggests. And now with this release, you have families of the victims learning chilling new details on that incredibly dark day and reopening wounds that even a year and a half later have yet to heal.
In Uvalde, Texas, new calls for accountability this morning.
I hope that the failures end today.
After the Justice Department released a damning assessment of the horrific 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. The federal government blasting the response by law enforcement.
This was a failure of leadership.
In a more than 600-page report, the DOJ outlines what it calls cascading failures of leadership, decision-making, tactics, policy, and training.
Dude, we got to get in there.
A key focus, 77 minutes that went by before officers engaged with the shooter, an 18-year-old with an AR-15. Among the issues the report raises, no one assumed a leadership role. Calling the biggest mistake, officers treating the situation as a barricaded threat and not an active shooter.
Had the law enforcement agencies followed generally accepted practices in an active shooter situation, lives would have been saved and people would have survived.
Another disturbing revelation, a wounded teacher who first responders left on a walkway outside the school died there. The DOJ says police also gave conflicting and incorrect information.
An official incorrectly told families waiting for their children at the Civic Center that an additional bus of survivors was coming. It did not.
The report offering nearly 300 recommendations for law enforcement nationwide. Berlinda Areola, whose granddaughter, 10-year-old Amarie Jo, died, says the report confirms what she already witnessed on police body cam videos.
They had the opportunity to go in and they didn't.
So far, only a handful of officers have been disciplined. Kimberly Rubio's 10-year-old daughter, Lexi, also among the young victims. Rubio now hopes the release of this report leads to consequences.
Do you believe that there will be accountability now?
It's hard to remain optimistic when we've hit so many roadblocks along the way, but I plan on fighting for accountability.
And in response to the release of this report, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said that they worked quickly to bolster security in state schools and that they will be adopting at least some of the recommendations shared in this DOJ report. In the meantime, the city of Uvalde says that they have undergone leadership changes in law enforcement personnel, and have added new equipment to the resources here in this community. They're also conducting their own review, and that should be wrapped up by the end of this month. Savannah.
All right, Morgan, thank you very much. We have much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including why price tags on hundreds of popular medications are set to rise this year.
But first, another scare in the skies overnight. Check out this Boeing jumbo jet caught on camera in flames after taking off from Miami International. We'll tell you what we know up next.
We are back now with a developing story out of South Florida. That is where an Atlas Air flight could be seen with flames shooting out of it midair.
That forced the plane to land back at Miami International Airport after takeoff. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk is here with the latest on this one. Hey, Steph.
Hey, Joe and Savannah. Good morning to you guys. It was a scary scene. Somehow that plane was able to land safely. Now questions are mounting about what went wrong with this Boeing plane just weeks after that dangerous moment with a door plug blowing off on a different Boeing aircraft.
Oh my God, it's on fire.
Overnight, another scare in the skies.
Mayday, mayday.
Flames shooting out of a plane in midair, forcing the aircraft to make an emergency landing.
Engine fire. Request taxi back to the airport.
The Atlas Air cargo flight sparked after it took off from Miami International Airport.
We'll go ahead and land. We have 5 souls on board.
The plane thankfully able to return and land safely. No one on board was injured. In a statement, the airline, which specializes in cargo and charter flights, says the plane experienced an engine malfunction soon after departure and that they will conduct a thorough inspection to determine the cause. The plane was a Boeing 747, according to FlightAware data. The incident coming just weeks after a different Boeing aircraft, a 737 MAX 9, was forced to make an emergency landing after one of its door plugs fell off midair.
And our job is to understand literally everything that has happened and make sure it can never happen again.
The FAA is investigating and temporarily grounded 171 Boeing MAX 9 aircrafts for inspection in the process. The crew of the Atlas Air flight now safely out of harm's way after leaving a fiery trail through the sky. We've reached out to the FAA and have not heard back. Overnight, Boeing declined to comment. It had to have been incredibly terrifying in that cockpit, huh? Video.
Right. Yeah. Stephanie, thanks. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, let's turn now to the Middle East, where the United States has been pushing to create a three-way pact with Saudi Arabia and Israel in a bid to end the war in Gaza.
But experts say many obstacles stand in the way of any potential deal. Joining us now to talk more about this is Anna Schechter. She is a senior producer in the NBC News Investigations Unit. Anna, good to have you with us. We know you have an exclusive report about this U.S. push to try and normalize relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Walk us through what's been happening behind the scenes to try and make some sort of deal happen.
It's great to be with you, Savannah and Joe. There's been a flurry of diplomacy behind the scenes, behind the open rhetoric. For example, yesterday Netanyahu said there's absolutely no two-state solution on the horizon. But behind that, there are Israeli diplomats and politicians working with American diplomats and even businessmen who are really pushing for this deal, and Saudi Arabia wants the deal. And so there have been a series of trips to Al Ula in western Saudi Arabia, where Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, is hosting people to discuss these trips. So that includes a delegation of the Senate Intelligence Committee and also a private meeting with Senator Lindsey Graham, who's been pushing for a deal like this for some time now. It's actually not brand new. This has been a few years in the making, and there's been an effort to build on the Abraham Accords that established normalized relations between the UAE and Israel. And now there's this potential to create an architecture for Saudi normalization with U.S. and also create a framework for the end of the war that accounts for some kind of Palestinian sovereignty.
Anna, Saudi Arabia says it would be willing to normalize relations with Israel if a Palestinian state is created. But I mean, just yesterday, we heard Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu come out and totally outright dismiss that. I mean, clearly, this is a huge obstacle between the sides. Is it something that can be overcome?
Well, this is a big negotiation, and so all sides are taking their hardest stance, particularly Israel, saying no two-state solution. And part of that is politics. Just last week, there was a poll that showed that the majority of Israelis are not ready for that. They're not ready for a ceasefire and an immediate two-state solution. And so Netanyahu is saying that in part because he feels he has to. But behind the scenes, there have been discussions about some kind of language. Maybe it's not exactly two-state, but it's enough Palestinian governance over Gaza and enough of a framework for a pathway for Palestinian political sovereignty where a Palestinian body oversees Gaza and has control over civil affairs. There's hope that other Gulf states and Arab states, including Egypt, would provide boots on the ground. And someone told me the other day that it was like four-way chess. It's so complex to have every single party involved get something out of it and get enough to actually sign on to the deal.
I mean, clearly a two-state solution is a huge obstacle here, but what are some of the other obstacles complicating a potential pact?
Well, on the American side, There are some issues about Saudi demands potentially, although there's real desire from both of those two countries to make this happen. It would be a political win for Biden. MBS clearly wants to do it under the right conditions. The main place where things are stuck are in Israel, and that's primarily due to this right-wing government under Benjamin Netanyahu. But even though he's saying publicly no two-state solution, there are conversations happening, and you never know in the Middle East. You probably wouldn't have guessed that the Abraham Accords would have been signed, and so I would say that never say never. There's enough momentum that these talks are continuing to stay alive, at least for the moment.
All right, Anna Schechter, thank you very much joining us from Tel Aviv. Thanks for joining us.
More international news, the latest out of North Korea. The country says it's tested underwater nuclear attack drones.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us with that and other world headlines. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah and Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. State media is reporting that North Korea has carried out a test of what it calls an underwater nuclear weapons system. Now, the Korean Central News Agency said the test is in response to joint drills by the U.S., South Korea and Japan this week, saying that they further destabilize the regional situation and threaten North Korea's security. The underwater drone, which supposedly can carry out a nuclear weapon, was allegedly tested off the North Korean east coast, but there is no other evidence of the tests being conducted, and South Korea had earlier said that North's description of the drone's capability were exaggerated. Now let's go to Northern Ireland, where more than 100,000 public sector workers joined rallies across the country in a dispute over pay in what has been billed as the country's largest strike in 50 years. 16 trade unions are involved in the coordinated action, with the largest rally being held in Belfast, where the Irish Congress of Trade Unions warned that many were leaving the public sector for better pay and conditions elsewhere, and warned services could collapse if this trend didn't stop. Due to the strike, bus and train services have been halted, schools are closed, and there is also a disruption across health services. And let's end this tour of the world in Croatia, where an artist is planning to make a giant version of Michelangelo's David using matchsticks. Tomislav Horvat says he will need 430,000 matchsticks in total to recreate the work of art. Well, he's been working on it for 6 years and plans to finish it in a year and a half. Now, the artist is not new to matchsticks art. In 2013, he created a life-size rendition of actor Al Pacino as Don Corleone in The Godfather, and a life-size sculpture of a pianist playing a grand piano. Now, guys, if you consider that Michelangelo took about 3 years to make the David out of marble, and this guy is going to take more than twice as long to make it out of matchsticks, well, better be good.
Yeah,
back to you guys.
I'm guessing no candles allowed in that art studio.
Yeah. Good point. Also, I like how Claudia is just flat out unimpressed. Thanks. All right, tonight in Los Angeles, Prince Harry is set to be named a living legend of aviation, honoring his time in the military. However, some are questioning if the prince is fit for the title. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff has the details.
The Duke of Sussex set to add a new title to his name, Living Legend of Aviation. Tonight in Beverly Hills, Prince Harry will be one of 4 inductees honored as remarkable people of extraordinary accomplishment in the skies. The event co-hosted by NBC News' Tom Costello. The former royal served 10 years in the British Army, becoming an Apache pilot. In 2012, he spent time in the attack helicopter's cockpit while deployed to Afghanistan. The organization behind the award also notes Harry's founding of the Invictus Games, which supports wounded service members through sports, something he spoke to Hoda about in 2022.
But what they are proving to the rest of the world is that whatever you come up against, whether it's physical or mental trauma, that you can actually get through it.
Among those responsible for selecting nominees, former recipient John Travolta, who's also hosted the ceremony for several years. The Hollywood legend has some history with the royal family. Travolta famously danced with Harry's mother, Princess Diana, at a White House dinner in 1985. He spoke about that night in the PBS docuseries In Their Own Words.
I mean, she had that bashful dip that she did, and she looked up at me and I said, would you care to dance with me? And she said, yes.
Still, the prince's selection has sparked some controversy online, with some questioning whether he deserves the award. Past honorees include notable names like Buzz Aldrin, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, as well as celebrity aviation hobbyists.
I'm in my green, so I'm good to go.
Including jazz saxophonist Kenny G and actors Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise, and Morgan Freeman. Now with Prince Harry's induction, the organization set to add royalty to its list of legends.
Our thanks to Jacob for that report. Well, we mentioned those questions of whether the prince is qualified for the title or not. Well, the organization behind the ceremony says individuals are nominated by past inductees and then committees make the final selection. So enough of the already appointed legends agreed that Prince Harry is indeed worthy of the title.
Coming up, some conflicting headlines on America's economy this morning.
That's right. Drug prices are set to rise, but mortgage rates are expected to slip this year. What's that all mean for you? We are going to break it down. Stay with us. It's up next. Welcome back. Well, while the economy has been showing signs of slowly rebounding in recent months, there are still some conflicting signals when it comes to those indicators.
For example, drug costs going up, mortgage rates going down. So what does it all mean for you? NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here to help us out. Let's start with medicine.
Sure.
I mean, we know prices go up, but what, more than 700 medications going up? Why is that? What's the impact?
So let's step back for a second. This is the time of year when drug companies raise prices. And so this is an analysis of some 700 drugs that prices rose, on average about 4.5%. So that is, believe it or not, much less than maybe a decade ago. And remember, every year drug prices will go up 10% or something. So this is a more muted price gain. And these drug companies will point out that you're not going to bear all of that cost increase because of the deals they have with insurance companies and the middlemen who sell the drugs. But a couple that caught my attention, Ozempic and Mounjaro, these are very popular drugs. Those prices will be rising. The list price, I should say, Ozempic, $970 a month. Mounjaro, more than $1,000, $1,070 a month. But something really interesting here is that while it looks alarming that list prices for drugs are rising more than inflation, again, this is much more muted price increases than in years past.
We also have been talking about on this show, though, how President Biden is trying, there's a few specific, super expensive drugs that they're trying to bring the price on. How does that factor in?
So peel back this overall headline of the 4.5% increase, and you can see that things like inhalers and insulin, those prices are falling. The Inflation Reduction Act makes it law that these prices can't rise faster than inflation. So you're seeing, and put caps actually even on what you can pay for insulin, for example, out of pocket. So those are falling. And there are other categories of drugs that are starting to fall as well. And this year, Medicare will start negotiating prices for the most popular drugs that millions of Americans use. So again, you're going to start seeing a ceiling on drug prices because of those efforts from Washington.
Well, let's talk about mortgage rates. Of course, they went way up last year. Fannie Mae says they should dip below 6% this year.
This really caught my attention, this headline from Fannie May, below 6% by the end of the year. So that is a bold call for anybody who wants to refinance this year, because they have been shut out. Remember, we had mortgage rates at 3%. They spiked all the way to 8%. That makes it very hard. If you just can't buy the same amount of house, and you're paying a lot more in borrowing costs. So this is a call from Fannie. And I'll say there was another homebuyer.com had an analysis this week saying they expect 4.5% for mortgage rates. It's a much more bullish call than even that one.
This year?
This year. So, I mean, maybe that's an extreme end of the we'll see the Fed start to maybe lower interest rates, and you're seeing mortgage rates anticipate that and start to move lower here. So I hope that it loosens up the housing market. The housing market has been tough. Anybody out there who's a first-time home buyer, you've been pulling your hair out, because it's just, you still have a lot of competition for homes, not a lot of supply, high mortgage rates, and still high housing costs. So that's been a problem in 2023. Maybe lower mortgage rates will help that scenario in 2024.
All right. Christine Romans, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Coming up, more drama is brewing in the music world this morning.
After the break, why Madonna and one big concert promoter are now being sued over what some fans claim was an unacceptable star time at one of her recent shows. Stay with us. That's next.
Welcome back this morning. Madonna, Live Nation, and Brooklyn's Barclays Center are facing a federal lawsuit after two of Madonna's fans accused her of showing up more than 2 hours late at the Brooklyn stop of her celebration tour last month. According to the lawsuit, The Material Girl didn't take the stage until after 10:45 p.m. The fans say the show wasn't over until almost 1 a.m., leaving them with limited transportation options at that hour.
The lawsuit also claims the show was on a Wednesday, that many people who attended had to get up early to go to work and take care of their family responsibilities. NBC News has reached out to representatives for a comment and have not heard back yet. This isn't the first time Madonna has faced legal action over tardiness. In 2019, a Florida fan sued over delay to one of her shows. It's not just Madonna. Other artists have been known to take the stage late, like Lauryn Hill, Justin Bieber, and Rihanna.
Well, what's the etiquette behind all this? We are going to go to the perfect guy to answer this. Mr. Manners himself, Thomas Farley, joins us now. Thomas, okay, so obviously I think manners, this is not like showing up late to somebody's house at a dinner party. These are like huge famous superstars. But should artists be held accountable for these extremely late starts, or is this just kind of like something you need to expect and accept as a concert goer?
Savannah, so there's definitely a balance here. We love the anticipation of waiting for a favorite artist to arrive. And I've got to admit, I'm a big Madonna fan myself, and I've been on the receiving end of this. In fact, in 2012, I went to her MDNA concert at Yankee Stadium and experienced very much the same thing. Getting out late, trying to find trains home, it's no fun. So I think for any performer, having a grace period is a wise thing. We know people are coming from a distance sometimes. There are issues in parking lots. So you look at Broadway. Broadway very often will start 5 or 6 minutes late to allow for those latecomers, about 2 hours plus. This is way too much, and you're really taking your fans for granted at that point.
So here's my thing. I went to the Brooklyn show. I've been to her shows before. We know she starts late. It is not a secret that she starts late. We actually showed up at 10 p.m. because we knew that it wouldn't start till like 10:25 is when it started that night. So, I mean, if you know that, if it's well known, if she's been doing it for decades, does that make a difference? Does that then kind of put the onus on the person who's going to say, hey, I know she's going to start late. I'm going to have to like get up late the next, maybe not work the next day.
Joe, you're right. And I think very much like those friends that we all have in our lives who are always habitually late for something, the later they arrive, the later we arrive, and it creates this snowball effect. So I think for a performer waiting backstage to take the stage, you look out, you see you've only got a half full arena. Well, you're not going to set foot onto stage until you know your arena is packed. So the later you start arriving, the later your guests know they can arrive, and it just gets later and later and later. And obviously with a performer like Madonna, who's had a decades-long career, as you say, this is a pattern, and it sees no sign of correction anytime soon.
Is there any instance where a delayed start is acceptable? Maybe a really delayed start, as it seems we're discussing here?
Yeah, so Savannah, I would say, again, sitting in that audience waiting for the performer to take the stage, there's only so much that an opening act can do. And I will tell you, to borrow a line from Madonna, time goes by so slowly when you're sitting there waiting. True issues going on, technical issues, performer issues, weather issues. Keep us informed. Let the audience know what's happening, similar to being on an airplane or a train where people just don't know what's going on. As long as you communicate with your audience, they're going to be, so a quick announcement, due to a technical issue, we're experiencing a slight delay. We expect to be starting the concert in 20 minutes, half hour. This way people can go to the restroom, buy a t-shirt, go get some food, and people don't feel as anxious like they're going to miss anything if they step away from their seats briefly.
All right. Mr. Manners quoting Madonna there, if you missed it.
You are a true fan.
Time goes by.
Yeah.
So slowly.
All right. Thomas P. Farley, thank you very much for joining us. Fun one.
Thank you both.
Sticking with financial headlines and some good news if you have student loans this morning, the White House slashing another $5 billion in debt.
CNBC's Silvana Henao is back with us with that and other money headlines. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning to you. So the Biden administration announcing today it will cancel nearly $5 billion in student debt. Now, roughly 74,000 borrowers will be eligible. They have either been repaying their loans for at least 20 years or are public servants who work for the government or certain nonprofits for at least a decade. So far, the administration has approved more than $136 billion in debt forgiveness for about 3.7 million borrowers. Pre-orders for Apple's Vision Pro start today, but the new device will be missing more than just Netflix at launch. Bloomberg reports YouTube and Spotify are also steering clear. Both won't launch new apps for the Vision Pro and won't let their iPad apps work with the headset for now. Now, YouTube recommends people use a web browser if they want to see content. The Vision Pro will have access to Apple's music and podcast apps. And Subway is adding 3 new foot-long items to the menu, but none of them are sandwiches. The chain says its new Sidekicks menu will feature a collection of foot-long snacks, a chocolate chip cookie, a churro, and a pretzel. They will cost between $2 and $3. Subway partnered with Auntie Anne's and Cinnabon on the new creations. I love Cinnabon, so maybe these churros are good.
Yeah. There you go. Probably.
I bet they can't be bad. How could they be bad?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try it.
All right, Savannah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got it.
Well, when the world's biggest pop star and one of the NFL's best players started dating, it brought a swarm of Swifties to NFL games. And while some critics call the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce connection a distraction, there's also a surprising and vocal group of supporters jumping to their defense. Girl dads. Here to explain it all is NBC News correspondent Sam Brock. Sam, I absolutely love this story. I can't wait to see what you got for us. Good morning.
I'm so surprised you love the story, Savannah. It's almost like you're a massive Taylor Swift fan. Good morning. Good to be with you. Obviously, the biggest game of the weekend for this NFL divisional round is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. But the subplot, if you will, right now, Savannah, is all the critics talking about what they believe is a Kelce-Swift relationship that's taking too much oxygen away from the actual football game. Well, now one group that's defending it, as you said, dads who are describing an incredible opportunity to bond with their daughters over music and football.
This morning, dads and daughters teaming up to show support for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's love story. Some even taking to social media to share how music's biggest star showing up at games to support her Kansas City Chiefs boyfriend has actually led to some unexpected bonding on football Sundays. One dad writing, "My 12-year-old daughter just asked me to point out Jason Kelce, and it spurred an entire conversation. I love her beyond words, but the kid never cares about football. That was cool." Another father adding, "I actually feel bad for the Brads, Chads, and angry dads who spent the year complaining about Taylor Swift interrupting their football because I spent the season trading Swift Kelce memes with my 14-year-old daughter."
Taylor's sitting in there with Donna Kelce.
Ever since this Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and Jets set social media on fire, there's been some bad blood from a few football fans, sports analysts, and even award hosts complaining there's too much Taylor and not enough football.
The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Connecticut dad Keith Steckler says his 7-year-old daughter Emmy is a big Swiftie, even dressing up as the pop singer for Halloween. But a new football fan, he did not see that one coming.
For me, it felt like the Super Bowl, which would be the only other time that anybody would remotely want to sit down and watch football with me.
Why do you think it felt like the Super Bowl?
It was appointment viewing. It was not just, oh, okay, football's on. We'll watch it with you. We want to watch that.
According to NBC Sports, viewership among teen girls increased by 53% when Taylor attended that Chiefs-Jets game in October. But for youngsters like Emmy, who's only 7 with an attention span to match, she's suddenly engaged in football.
And who are you rooting for?
Chiefs.
And do you know any of the players on the Kansas City Chiefs?
2.
Okay. Who's on the Chiefs?
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
If you're going to pick any 2, that's a really solid selection right there.
And these 2 are everywhere.
I don't know Jake from State Farm.
But just imagine Mahomes and my auto.
The Chiefs stars, boosted by Swift, have become household names for families.
I think that the Taylor Swift relationship with the NFL, she's just there to have fun. And what's been exciting is she's bringing a whole new set of eyes to this game.
And if you didn't envision a circumstance with Swiftie NFL jerseys and little girls holding Go Taylor's Boyfriend signs on the sidelines, then you haven't been listening to voices from NFL CEOs.
Our female audience has grown leaps and bounds.
To dads happy to find a new way to connect with their daughters.
It allows us to spend more time together and do the things that we both individually like to do.
And if you thought, Savannah and Joe, that this was just about pairing first downs and friendship bracelets, I have another narrative to break for you right now, which is this idea that Taylor Swift somehow is bringing down the Chiefs. She went to 10 games this year. They were 7-3 when she was in the house, which is to say the Chiefs are winning at an elite level when Taylor is there. We'll see what happens this weekend. Back to you guys.
I know. Is she going to be in Buffalo? She was there in that cool jacket.
Maybe she'll
last
shovel.
Week, but
do you think she'll show up and shovel? That would be good PR.
No. Yeah. There you go. Look at, she's helping out. Forget it, Dads, Brads, Chads. Sam Brock, brilliant piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Just
Sam.
loved it.
Coming up, grab your popcorn because after the break, it's not only time for your can't miss list, it's also National Popcorn Day.
There you go. And we're going to look ahead to next week's Oscar nominations, where Barbie and Oppenheimer are expected to clean up. We're going to have all that can't miss content for your weekend right after the break. Welcome back. This one has Gen Zers excited. Disney is bringing back Wizards of Waverly Place. And the original stars, David Henry and Selena Gomez, of course, are on board. Deadline reports that Disney-branded television has ordered a pilot for a sequel to the original show. This is about teenagers with magical powers that live in New York City. The pilot will focus on Henry's character, Justin Rousseau, who is now grown up and trying to live a normal life. Gomez will star in the episode, but get this, she's also going to executive produce. Wizards of Waverly Place ran between 2007 and 2012, the first time around. There you go. I always think of that show when I pass Waverly Place in the West Village.
There you go. Finally this hour, it's Friday, which means it's time for our weekly can't miss list. We've got the big movies you need to see this week, and we're also talking about what's tipped to do well in Tuesday's Oscar nominations. Here to discuss, we're joined on set by Nikki Novak, a correspondent for Fandango.
Hi. Good morning.
Good to have you with us. Right now, we have the aroma of popcorn
Like
here.
big time.
Like
It's cheesy or something. I can
buttery
smell it.
and,
I like it. I like it. You make a girl feel at home right here.
Exactly. We give everyone food when they come on here. So it's National Popcorn Day.
It is.
And to celebrate, we're getting like some of last year's biggest blockbusters.
That's right.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so first of all, it's National Popcorn Day. So the Cinema Foundation partnered with Fandango for this one day, which is today, where people can go to the theater and get major discounts on concessions. And we had a recent survey of over 6,000 people, and apparently 94% of people get concessions, which I didn't even realize it was that high a number. So people can get things like free refills, and you check with your local theater. They have all kinds of deals. Sometimes you get a drink and you get a free popcorn, so all kinds of good reason to go to the movies and get some nice discounts. But in celebration of that day, there's been a re-release of some great films. One I know is near and dear to your heart, Oppenheimer.
Yes.
That's going to win all the awards, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But that's getting re-released in IMAX, and that's the way Christopher Nolan intended, as well as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is the second in the trilogy, the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, winning Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. This one could repeat. It could also win. And then Soul, which was a Pixar classic, is also getting a re-release.
Kudos to whoever buttered this. This is really good.
Are you? I am a major concession goer.
Are you?
Don't you need a treat?
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
I like the Twizzlers with the popcorn.
You can sit there without a treat.
Sweet and salty, what do you get?
Big time. Oh, see, I know I don't love popcorn, but I'm M&M's or gummy bears.
I like that.
Depending on what they have and where they are. Or a hot dog. I love a movie theater.
We got to get through these here.
Okay, let's switch gears, talk about some new stuff coming out.
Yes.
I understand there's these two sort of political dramas that we should see.
Well, one of them is called ISS, which stands for the International Space Station. It stars Ariana DeBose, who won for Best Supporting Actress for West Side Story. And this is set aboard the International Space Station. It's about an astronaut that goes up, and there's 3 Americans on board and 3 Russians on board, and they're symbiotically doing research up there. When they look down on Earth and they realize there's been a nuclear war, and they both each get the message to take control of the space station at all costs. So it's sort of, it's definitely a thriller. It's a very, very tense drama, and you really feel the claustrophobia, and it is not slick at all. You feel what it might really be like to be an astronaut, including sleeping vertically, which I couldn't even imagine that. Yeah, so that one's great. And then Origin, Ava DuVernay, anything that she touches turns to gold. She's an incredible filmmaker, but this stars Ingenue Ellis Taylor. Now, Now, this is the story of Isabel Wilkerson. She is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, and this really focuses on her journey to writing this book, Caste, the origins of our discontents. And what I love about it is Ava read the book 3 times. It's a very dense book. They said it could not be adapted, and she managed to do it. And she brought a really, she spanned different continents and different generations, and you have these flash forwards and backs. But the author also is going through personal tragedy, and it really is a love story too. It's a beautiful movie.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
All right, so Oscar nominations, they come out on Tuesday. Obviously, we know Barbie, Oppenheimer should do well, but then we got these other movies that tend to surge around this time of year, right?
Yeah, other little movies, and that's been the trend the last couple of years, that these smaller movies have really grabbed hold of people's hearts. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great example that won last year. This year, I really think Oppenheimer is going to dominate. You're going to see a lot of nominations for Barbie, but I think Oppenheimer, with what we've seen so far in award season, is just leading the pack. But I had to recommend a couple that people should catch up on this weekend.
Please.
Past Lives, maybe my favorite movie
Greta
of
Lee,
the
I haven't
year.
seen it yet, right?
Oh,
But
it is absolutely. Celine Song directed it, and it's a beautiful story of these 2 children who grow up in South Korea and are sort of like childhood loves, and then reunite 20 years later. And Greta Lee plays a married woman; she's married to somebody else. And and Tae Yoo plays her long lost, childhood sweetheart, and they spend a week together in New York City, and it is. I have chills talking about it. I love this movie so much.
What more other recommendation do you have here?
Okay, so The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti. You saw him go viral for eating In-N-Out burger.
Yes, In-N-Out.
He does more than just that. He plays a teacher at an all-boys boarding school who basically has to look after one student who has, over the break, doesn't have anywhere to go, and it's just heartwarming. And he is now, I believe, the front runner for Best Oscar, for Best Actor at the Oscars.
Nikki Novak, thank you so much. Great to have you on. Appreciate it.
Happy Popcorn Day.
That is going to do it for this hour Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.